Good morning, friends. It's the last day of July. Nothing like waiting until the last minute to do a garden tour for this month. I'm going to show you everything that's going on in our garden today, but first, let's go let out the chickens. The chickens got an upgrade. My dad came out this weekend and helped me remake the chicken coop. It is completely solid. No predators should be able to get in. The paint should be available for pickup today. And then I just need to do some trim and make a new ladder for them to get in and out, and it should be all set to go. And also clean up a mess out here. It's pretty messy. We were having a problem with raccoons breaking in, and so I got these locking carabiners because I had a raccoon actually open the door on the small coop, which was crazy. Good morning, ladies. I've got my first batch of fall chicks in the incubator, and my young pullets from the spring just started laying, and I am so thrilled with the egg color. Just look. So my rooster is an Easter egger. He has blue egg genes. My girls are red stars and they had brown egg genes, so I bred these two together and got olive eggs, green eggs. I'm so thrilled with this because it's really expensive to buy chicks that lay this egg color, and I was able to make it at home. So I'm very excited, very excited to have this color added to our basket. There's one more color that I really want to get, and that's chocolate eggs, but they're really expensive to buy the chicks for chocolate eggs. So I might see if I can trade somebody a rooster, an Easter egg rooster, for a copper Maran rooster, and maybe try to get chocolate eggs that way. We'll see. I don't know. I finally broke down and got some sprinklers and a timer, so it turns on every morning for me and waters the garden. It was actually very reasonable in price. We had a long streak with no rain, and my spigot on the front of the house was broken, so I was out here carrying buckets of water out to the garden to water my plants, and I was like, this is not gonna work. So I went down to the hardware store and got all the stuff to fix the spigot, a couple sprinklers, some hoses, and a timer that I could put on that will turn on automatically every morning and water my garden for me. Amazing. All right, so while the sprinkler is running in the front garden, let's look at our other garden spaces and see what's going on. So in our back garden, it's pretty packed full. I had my bee balm come back from last year, and it's huge. It's just starting to flower. I need to get some of that dried for teas. This is one of the ones we use for colds and put it in our teas. We have some zucchini over here with some friends that we need to get taken care of. And then we have a couple of tomato plants in here. They haven't started producing yet, but there were flowers on there, so we should be seeing some tomatoes from these soon. I can't remember if they were the Amish paste tomatoes or the Abe Lincoln. I'm thinking they were Amish paste, but I cannot remember. And then all along the outside, I planted pole beans so that they have something to climb a little bit. Those are just starting to produce. I'm just starting to pick green beans off of these. And in between all of this sweet corn over here, I planted bush beans. So you can see we're starting to get some beans off of this. And I'll need to come out here and pick. I have not picked yet this morning, so I'll need to come out here and pick all of this stuff. We had carrots in this section. They all got pulled up. And I think we had spinach in here too. There was a couple corn that I planted in here that started to grow. So we'll see when they start getting ears, and hopefully we can catch it on time and get it while it's really good. We also put in a pie pumpkin. I planted a bunch of pumpkins this year because the sheep really like pumpkins. There's one starting right back there that you can see. And so I'm hoping to get a lot of pumpkins for both us and for the sheep this year. We had a bunch of bee balm. I didn't plant any of this bee balm. It just came up by itself this year. And you always love volunteers. In here I have habanada peppers. So they are basically habaneros with no spice to them. We are not a spicy family when it comes to food, but we do like to have some flavor in our salsa. And we also can use them for like fajitas and stuff like that too, or like morning omelets. That's a holy basil back there. We've been making tons of holy basil tea. It's so good. And then I have a few more zucchini over here. This one looks like it's about ready to grab it too. Last year I didn't get any squash at all. Between the slugs eating everything as soon as it sprouted, and squash bugs, and just lots of different things, I didn't get any squash at all last year. I think I got maybe 4 zucchini out of the whole garden last year, and no other type of squash at all. So I'm really happy that squash is doing so well this year. And we also have a few strawberries back here planted in the ground. They're not producing anything right now. And then there's a couple more spread out in there, somewhere underneath all of that. This is the time of year, I think, where a lot of gardeners just get really overwhelmed because there are so many facets to the garden going on right now. You have harvesting, pulling weeds, taking care of pests. You're also trying to plant your fall seeds, and the weeds just get really out of control this time of year with the weather. They just do really well and it's hard to keep up. So this time of year is when a lot of gardeners just kind of start to get tired and done with the garden. And my garden is no exception to the weeds and the mess. This all needs to get taken care of, and it's like one of those things that I take care of, and it's Bermuda grass, so it comes back every year, but it is what it is. So what I'm going to try to do when I have the time is get in here and dig all of this out, lay cardboard again, and mulch it really good. Oh, here's our asparagus. We should be able to start eating off our asparagus this coming spring. They look really good, actually. They just need to get weeded out. We're also getting some work done back here, so I'm kind of waiting until this is done. It's been a long process to get this done, and once it's done, then I can kind of know how this is going to be garden-wise. So once that's done, we can get in here and try to work on all of that too. Honestly, have not weeded very much this year, just with, you know, working and everything that I have to do. I just haven't really had time to get out and weed, and the weeds are just going to come back. So I figure if I don't get to it until the fall and the winter, when things start cooling off. In the winter, I feel like when I actually do something like pull weeds or clean up a garden, it stays that way for a while. In the summer, you can like completely weed a garden, and within 30 days it's completely covered again. Alright, so our front garden, this is our elderberry. Look how tall it is. Oh my goodness. I pruned it so far down and it's so tall, but we're getting a lot of elderberries coming ready up there. So we need to get out here and start cutting those down and taking them in to make elderberry syrup or dry them. This garden bed is usually very low maintenance for me, my tea and herb garden. But this year the weeds are kind of crazy and I haven't pulled it. But we'll get to it, like all things, we'll get to it eventually. So in this garden, we've got our fennel back here starting to flower and produce seeds. When these dry, we'll pull them. We use them for making 5-spice seasoning. You can use them for tea. I always get way more than I need. So I may end up trying to put some of those in the produce cart as well. And, oh look! I was looking for these guys. Remember these riding spiders from last year? I was so sad because I didn't see them come back in the garden this year. They must have just taken a longer time to hatch. I left their egg sacs up on the side of the house where they had been left by their mom, and so, wow, I'm so excited they're back. They're really pretty, and they're so great for catching catching bugs. Very pretty. Glad you guys are back. I've got one little rosemary back there in the back. And then I've got this big rosemary over here in the front. Our echinacea's all fallen down. We had a big storm come through last night. It was crazy. I may tie it up. I don't know. I haven't used a lot of it this year. We just haven't been sick, which is a good thing, right? So I haven't had to be making a whole lot of cold teas. This is one of our oregano plants. My daughter likes to practice her scissor cutting skills, and she'll come out here and chop it for me, and then we'll dry it. And I also have a watermelon that sprouted over here. We must have dumped out seeds when we were eating watermelon outside last year, and it decided to sprout. So we've got another watermelon grown real close to the house over here. And then in these pots, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look, there's another one. Oh, I'm so excited. They're back. I'm so excited these guys are back. We've got our ginger growing. I started my ginger a little bit late this year. So what I might do is, if I don't feel like it's big enough by the time we have frost coming, I may pull them inside and see if I can get them to grow a little bit bigger until they're done, because they I started them a little bit late this year. But they're looking good. I just gotta wait for the sprinkler to finish so I can get out there. My messy working porch where I have all of my plants and stuff up here. I pulled these plants up. They were looking not so great. They were sitting out there in full sun. This is lemon balm. This is chicory. More lemon balm. That's lemon balm too. Something ate my parsley. Look at that. Oh, rude. That's lemon mint. This is a holy basil. And this is some mint one of my parents' friends had given to me, and it had roots growing on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stick it in the ground. So this is some mint coming up in here. And that one is a sage. Those are things that I just didn't end up getting in the ground, and I haven't really decided how I'm using them yet. So I had them in pots, and I just kind of brought them up into the shade a little bit, and they've done so much better being up in the shade. I think the sun was just way too intense for them. And then we've got I've started our fall seedlings. I need to get out here like today and get a bunch more started. We've got our cabbages, our rutabagas, and I think cauliflower. Yes, cauliflower. But I need to get a bunch more. What I try to do is, if it says I can start cabbages from July 15th to August 15th, I'll try to stagger it and do maybe like 5 seeds every week, and then maybe have 1 week where I do more, so that I can kind of try to keep on top of it. That way, if I have a crazy week and I have to skip doing seeds that week, I didn't skip all of it. So I try to kind of spread it out that way. And it also helps if our weather is crazy, that we have some spread out, so that we don't have them all started on one date and then our weather is really bad and kills them all or something like that. We had found some tadpoles in the garden too, in some puddles, and put them in here, but the last one jumped out yesterday. It was so cool to see them grow legs and turn into frogs. My daughter was super excited about it, so I'll have to see if there's any more tadpoles in the puddles in the garden today. Alright, so over here on this side we have our yarrow. It is ending its flowering. It is spreading out, which is great. We want it to spread, and it's doing pretty well. I haven't had any issues with it. It's doing a good job. Our butterfly bush is going to need to get pruned this year. It's all the parts that are touching the ground I want to prune back. This is comfrey. So I've been taking leaves off of this and drying them. I really need to make some salves because we are out of our salves. So we're going to use the comfrey in there, and the borage, and the plantain. And this is the mullein plant. It's beautiful. I love it, but I think it's getting a little bit dried out because it's not getting the sprinkler like the other plants are on the days that it doesn't rain. And I honestly forget about it a little bit being over here. And we have chives back here, and our walking onions over here, which I need to pull some onions up because I need some onions for some stuff I'm trying to cook. But I don't want to pull them up too soon and then them not reproduce. Hey chickens. This is from our last batch of chicks that we had hatched out. Almost all of them sold except for these 3. We have 2 cockerels in there and a pullet. If you need an Easter egg or cockerel or rooster, I've got one for you. Alright, into the big garden we go. The temperatures haven't been too bad. The humidity has been killer. So hopefully we can get all this done before it gets way too hot out here. I have a couple pots on the side over here that are elderberry and citrus mint, orange mint over there. I don't know. I've had them on the cart. I have a problem. I keep propagating them and I don't really have that much use for them. I'll use them if I'm making basil tea. I'll take some orange mint and throw it in with the basil tea too, which is pretty good. But I don't need that much orange mint. I want to give you like an overall look at this gorgeous garden first. So much going on and I love it. It's so wild. It's beautiful. All right, so in this first row, I have holy basil, Roma tomatoes. In between every Roma tomato, I have some sort of flower, a zinnia, a holy basil, or amaranth all the way down here. I left them in the pots too long, so they didn't come up. Like this one came up huge, but these ones I had left them in the pots a little bit too long, so I need to remember that for next year not to leave the plants in the pots too long because it stunts them. But we've been getting a ton of tomatoes, and I'm trying an experiment this year. I did not prune my tomatoes or tie them up at all this year, and I'm still getting tons of tomatoes. I am having to pick them off while they are still greenish. If I leave them until they are actually ripe, stuff is eating them. So I am picking them off a little bit early, but they're ripening up on the porch, and I have a ton of tomatoes all over my porch and a ton in the freezer. So the tomatoes are doing great even without being tied up or pruned. But as soon as they are starting to blush, I am pulling them off, because if I leave them to get ripe, something's eating them as soon as they turn ripe. So as soon as they blush, I pull them off and take them up to the porch and let them finish ripening up there. I've used up all of my porch space, so now I'm putting them on a table in the back porch. Are you guarding my tomatoes for me? Thanks. So we've got some watermelon coming through here. We pulled our first watermelon off. It was huge, absolutely huge. And it was really good. I feel like I haven't been as good about like knowing when they're ripe this year and last year. The first year, every single one I pulled was perfectly ripe and so good, and I had so many of them. Last year and this year, I'm like, I wait for the tendril to be dry, I knock on it, make sure it sounds like it's hollow. I don't know. So maybe I'm just impatient. I just really want to eat it. Got our Brussels sprouts still in here. We really didn't get any Brussels sprouts. I'm hoping with our fall planting that we can get some Brussels sprouts from our fall planting, and that we will be able to eat them, because we love Brussels sprouts, but they're so expensive to buy. So in this second row here, we had a mixture of different things. This is one of our jalapenos. Oh, I need to grab that. Oh, maybe not. Come on, thank you. So we've got our jalapenos in there. And you can see like everything is just mixing all together. We've got watermelons, we've got butternut squash, we've got spaghetti squash. It's just everywhere. We've got Thai basil, we've got sunflowers that are about ready to open. Oh, look, some of them are starting. Gorgeous. I love watching the sunflowers like turn their heads with the sun. It's really funny. We've got all kinds of stuff in here, and it's just all kind of mixed in together. This is Genovese basil, which I need to come and get some of that and dry. I've been coming out and cutting it and then putting it in the dehydrator so that we can use it for in the wintertime and stuff. So we've got all of our squashes and basils and sunflowers and all kinds of things all mixed together in here. There's a little watermelon starting. Is that cantaloupe? It might be cantaloupe. Let me look. Nope, I think that's watermelon. Watermelon? That doesn't look like watermelon leaves though. This might be cantaloupe. Or maybe it's honeydew. I don't know. I mixed all kinds of stuff in here. And there's a butternut squash over here. Right there. Yeah, the basil's doing pretty good. This is probably the best year with basil that I've had in a while. Since I used to do it just indoors before I had a garden and before I had a house. I would just put them in like milk cartons inside and grow them there. and the basil is doing really good. This is our borage. It's so beautiful. Last year I couldn't get the borage. It like grew like this big and then just stopped. But this year, I don't know, everything's doing really good for me this year, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. Look at this big watermelon in here. Everything's just all mixed together. I love it. See, that one sounds like it's ready, and the tendril is dry. I don't know, but then I don't want to cut it and it not be ready yet. So we've got more holy basil. We've got some cantaloupe in there. I'm hoping I can get some cantaloupe and give it to my dad because he really likes cantaloupe. And more borage. I don't know. This is so thrilling for me. It's just doing such a good job this year, and I could not be happier with it. So this row, this little section right here, and this section should all be pumpkins or some sort of pumpkin-y type of thing. I just had, there's one watermelon over there, you can see by the leaves. But I had the babysitter help me plant these, and because I was like, I am so busy, I don't have time to get all this done. So she came over one day when the kids were asleep, and I showed her how to plant stuff, and she planted all these for me. And they're doing very well. I could not do this without her. And these ones are, oh man, now I can't remember. I know this section in here is all the same squash, and those ones down there are all spaghetti squash. But I can't remember if these are butternut squash. I think they're butternut squash. We'll find out. When they start trailing out, we will find out what they are. And in between all of these, I planted the red amaranth, the elephant ear amaranth, and regular amaranth. Oh, it's butternut, look. There's one right there. It's butternut. So I've been trying to incorporate flowers into the garden this year more, because I really, really like flowers, but I just don't make them the priority when it's coming down to the time and energy and everything. But it makes it so beautiful and just gives me so much happiness in the garden that I really wanted to make it a priority this year. So we've mixed in flowers, and just look, isn't this gorgeous? I love these elephant ear amaranth. They are so pretty. They feel like velvet. But you can see the watermelon is reaching all the way through. Our squashes are reaching all the way through. It's just wild. It's just, there's just food everywhere, and I love it. So our broccoli in the next row, I was still pulling broccoli off of it last month. I probably could have kept pulling it off. I just got to where I was tired and I wasn't pulling it off. But I was amazed how long our broccoli produced this year. It did a very good job. So we are going to be planting our fall plantings of broccoli, and we should be getting lots and lots of broccoli. I didn't get enough broccoli for the freezer this year. Like, we've been eating a lot more from the garden. I really haven't put that much in the freezer at all, but we're eating it, so that's good. My pickle cucumber plants have been producing like crazy. They have been doing so good, and I have made so many pickles. I think I've done 4 6-quart batches of pickles so far, from just having 4 cucumber plants. And if I forget them, they get really big really fast. Like, that is not a pickle size, but I've had even bigger than that. Like, they get really big really fast, and I just came out and picked them 2 nights ago and they're already so big. Our beefsteak tomatoes are kind of meh this year. I've been getting some off there, but not very many. We haven't made any salsa yet. There's another watermelon. Look at all these watermelons. But the beefsteak tomatoes are kind of meh. They were the last ones to get in the ground, so they may have just been potted up too long. That could be. And it kind of stunted them a little bit. But they aren't doing super awesome this year. See, look, there's still broccoli on here. I could pull this and we could put that in the stir fry and eat it. It's gorgeous. Plunked some beans in here around this arch, and a couple of them have grown and are starting to climb and flower, so we should be getting some beans off of these pretty soon. This section is where I'm going to be putting all of our winter plants, like our fall planting for cabbages and broccolis and all of that. And then once this section is done, I may just like pull stuff from other sections if I need more space. We will see. I transplanted some of the corn down here, and then I transplanted some right there. They're a little bit shorter than the other corn, but I thought they were gonna die because like when I transplanted them, they looked real sad. And they bounced back and they look pretty good. And I had a couple squashes left. I think these are pumpkins that were in with the other stuff, and I just put them over here because I didn't have any more space over there. But the corn's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. This is like an Indian corn, so this is like for feeding the chickens and stuff more than it is for feeding us. Look at these cherry tomatoes. Oh my goodness. These cherry tomatoes are huge this year. They are not cherries. Like, they're ginormous. That is a huge tomato cherry. My goodness. The cherry tomatoes are doing well, as always. They always produce a ton for me and do really well. I never have a problem getting them to grow. Romas have been doing amazing as well. So like as soon as I see a Roma tomato starting to blush, I pull it because something is eating them. And then I just put it on the porch to finish ripening. One of our crazy storms that came through actually like knocked my whole fence down over here, so I gotta fix that. We've got the other corn that I transplanted in here, and some holy basil that has come up on its own over here where I used to have it. And we got a couple of green beans. I don't remember planting these, but it's possible my daughter did. She likes to help and do a lot of stuff. And then we've got this whole row of sweet potatoes. They are taken over. And I think we're gonna have a really amazing sweet potato harvest this year. They're all over the place. They're flowering. If you didn't know, sweet potatoes are in the morning glory family. And so you'll notice their flowers look very similar to morning glories. They're just purple. But they're really pretty. Really, really pretty. But this, it's like you can't even walk through here anymore. It's just so nutso. It's crazy to see everything just completely explode with growth and life like this. All right, we're getting to the end. So in this row we have peppers down here on the end, bell peppers. And I've been getting a few off of here. I've just finally started to be able to pull some of these. I guess this one's coming in. And then we have our corn. I had super planted the corn because I did not think it would germinate because I had moths get in the jar and I thought this is never gonna grow. And it grew so well. I had to come in here and thin it, and then I had to come back and cut a bunch of the corn down because I just didn't have the time to be able to get all of the corn transplanted. But I probably could have had another 2 or 3 whole rows from all the corn that had germinated that was too close together. So I was so sad having to cut that down. But if you don't, then it won't grow. It won't grow well. It'll be small, so I needed to cut it down so it had more space to grow. But it's looking really good. It's taller than me. It's looking real good. This is our black bean patch. This is my first year growing black beans, and it's doing so good. It said it was more of a bush bean, but I think it really could have used a trellis as much as it's vining out. But it's got a bunch of pods on here, and we're just gonna leave these to dry, and then once they're dry, we will take them in and save them for cooking and stuff. We've got some more peppers over here. These ones are big, and they are starting to turn, so I've been pulling some of these off. This plant is the one that's doing real good. It's got a lot of peppers on it, and these plants are doing okay. They're doing all right, but the one over here is like star of the show of the pepper plants this year. It's got tons of pepper plants, or tons of peppers on it, and it's looking real good. We have the rest of the cauliflower, cabbages, and broccoli back here that have not been pulled out yet, but they need to get pulled out. And on our very last row, we have some more cabbages, butternut squashes that got put in. Look at some of these cabbages that are starting to grow now. These cabbages were like stuck this way all spring, and now all of a sudden they're starting to grow and look good. What's up with that? This one too. I don't know what happened with our cabbages this spring. They did not do well this spring, but now they're starting to grow. Look at that. Well, maybe we'll get something from it. So that is how our garden is looking in July. I am so overwhelmed with how well it's doing, trying to keep up with everything that's coming out of the garden and not letting it go to waste, because I want to be able to use every bit of the goodness that comes out of the garden this year. So now that we have our garden tour done for the day, I need to go milk the sheep. Do you guys want to say hi? I'll take you over real quick. There's Mr. Caspian. Ready for breakfast, buddy? He's been moving around out in the yard, mowing for me, doing a great job, not escaping. Got our ladies out having some breakfast. I think it's so funny how Sugar gets suntanned, sun bleached, and her coat turns brown. When she's sheared, it's black. And being out in the sun, she turns brown, but Marco doesn't. It's interesting. They're getting some real good grass because we've been getting good rain. It's very lush, very nice. I just can't get over how green everything is. In the winter, when I watch my videos back from the summertime, sometimes I am just like, oh my gosh, everything is so green, because the winter is so brown. I have it on my list to do a lamb sharing video. I have a couple ideas on my list that I haven't quite got to yet. Hopefully soonish. Take a peek at the babies. Say hello, babies. Ashlyn over here. A song is sold and will be getting picked up probably closer to the end of this month. And so I still have a ram lamb and my white ewe lamb available. So I'm gonna see if I can get them some places to go, and I'm gonna keep Margot's daughter from this year, Marigold. So we'll have Marigold in the rotation. My hope is maybe I can rotate my ewes so that I have somebody in milk all the time, and then we're not ever having like a dry spell with no milk. That's my hope. We'll see, because a lot of East Friesian, they are seasonal breeders, so they won't breed out of season. So we'll see. It's an idea. We'll see what happens. Thanks for hanging out with us on the farm today. We'll see you next time. Bye.